personally, I think that if someone is concerned about not having enough cash on hand for emergencies, they shouldn't be investing.
Welcome to the Physician Sense Podcast, a podcast designed specifically for physicians, offering a breakdown of complex financial topics to help you develop your financial IQ, further your financial journey, and improve your well-being. Whether you're a medical student, resident, fellow, or attending physician, you're sure to learn something new that will benefit your journey. And now your hosts, Chad Chubb and Tyler Olson.
Welcome to another episode of the Physician Sense Podcast. I am your co-host, Chad Chubb. I am joined by the one, the only, Tyler Olson. Tyler, how are you, my friend? Ready for our last mini episode?
I'm doing great. I love these little things because we dive deep really quickly, and it's really top of mind. I wanted to talk about this because it's important, but it's also like I talk about this sometimes on Twitter, and doctors, they've got some really great ideas in response. What compelled this idea, at least for me, was I get messages from trainees who are like, oh, I feel like I'm behind. I'm not investing. I don't have any retirement savings yet. I had a trainee that's in training for to become a cardiac surgeon. And she's got like 4 more years or something like that, 3 or 4 more years. And she's just like, I'm going to be in my mid 30s and I'm going to have no savings or no investments, not no savings, but just not really doing a whole lot. And she just feels bad. And my response is, wait, you're going to be doing what? Like your income, that shovel is going to be massive. I don't know all the details of this person's life or career trajectory, but even if student loans are in the picture, there are a lot of PSLF opportunities for cardiac surgeons. And because training is so long and because you're working at a nonprofit in many cases, that's solvable. And then all of a sudden you've got you're going to have paychecks that are like 20K plus easily per month. And you're like, there's a lot of potential here. And so I remind trainees at that point, I know that you want to invest, and that sounds very, very great. Like it sounds like it's important, and it is, but you can only do so much and it will be okay. So investing is not that important for trainees. It's important to learn, but to act is not. So that's always on my mind.
I like it. I'm going to go back to some of the notes that some of the rebuttals were, right? I'll take the rebuttal side. If you're in training and your program offers a match, that should be a little bit of appealing to you. Now, in defense of that comment, not a lot of programs offer match. You also need to keep an eye on the match vesting schedule, right? If it's a safe harbor type match, sure, that money will be yours. But if you're catching this at the tail end of your training and there is a longer vesting to get the match money, that's also something to keep an eye on. But this is one, as you were talking, I was thinking, would you rather see someone come out of trainee with $5,000 in their 401k or 403b or $5,000 in an emergency fund?
Wait, in this scenario, is the $5,000 in the 403b assuming that they have no savings?
They have much more limited savings. Let's just call it $100.
Okay, like a few $100 or something like that.
Give it an example. Yeah.
Cash.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was leaning that same way. I wanted to ask you, but it feels more powerful because of what you said too. We're just getting started. And while I do want our physicians to start sooner than later, that emergency fund seems like just an extra leg up. And heck, we can get $5,000 in a 403b within probably the first month of your attending status. It depends on specialty and all that, so I don't want to jump to too many conclusions. Right. But yeah, this is an interesting topic. But when you walk me through it, I can see this as one where, again, if you're in a good spot and you can take advantage of this, sure. But you should not be sitting there stressing over this. And I would rather go back and see some money in the emergency fund, especially if you're not getting a match or the match isn't going to be fully vested. I do think that the emergency fund could give you a little bit more of a leg up when you get out of that training.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because transition costs, you need liquidity. Even if you don't have to spend all that money, just knowing that it's there and it's available, that's a big deal. Because the first year of attendinghood is stressful. If you have no cash and you're like, but I got $5,000 in my 403b, that's not a lot of comfort. Yeah. And that can be made up readily. Another thing I was going to say, though, for this scenario that you mentioned is I would like the trainee to be coming out of training with as good a mental health as they can manage and good relationships, mental focus on what they want to learn and they feel proud of, building confidence. All of those things are massively more important than investing. So if that means spending more money for the relief time that you do have, or paying a little bit more money for an apartment that's closer to work, or leasing a car instead of keeping your old beater, I'm all for that. In terms of one's ability to invest, like in terms of the amounts, we're dealing with such small amounts. But I do think that learning about investing while you're in training is really important. And getting into the habit. Like if there is a matching contribution, 3% of your paycheck, $1,800 a year or whatever it is, that might be something that's manageable that just gets you into the flow of investing on a regular basis. So I think it's fine to and good to be able to learn the habit of saving and investing. It's just like you said, like the pressure to be like, how much do I have in savings? That's the area that is not that pertinent at this point.
Another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The program does not offer a match. Do they use the 403B or a Roth IRA?
They use the Roth 403B.
Mm.
Nice try, man. Nice try. I got the third option there.
My thinking was just on the Roth IRA because it's not, I wouldn't label it as an emergency fund, but because in this example, we're going to make the assumption that their income was low enough that they could save directly to the Roth IRA. My thinking was it's kind of this hybrid account. Ideally, it ends up being retirement. But if you need to get to it, remember, contributions directly to a Roth IRA are still accessible. I call it the Susie Orman rule, right? Where she tells the younger generation to use a Roth as an emergency fund, just in case. That was my thinking. But the Roth 403B is another curveball in there.
No, I see what you mean about the Roth. I think like with savings goals while in training, personally, I like to see $1,000 in cash saved before investing starts.
Yep.
If there's a matching contribution through the 403B, maybe you could do that while building up $1,000 in cash savings. That does make sense. But of course, it depends on the budget or cash flow of the given doctor. If they have the ability to put a couple $100 a month into the emergency fund while also putting 3% into their 403B, maybe they do, maybe they can't. But personally, I think that if someone is concerned about not having enough cash on hand for emergencies, they shouldn't be investing. Like, I know what you mean that you can pull out the contributions from the Roth IRA, but I don't really care. Like I don't think that that's a reason to be like, well, it'll be my backup plan, because it severely messes with your behavior, because it's always like a what if. It's like a temporary thing. Are you going to invest the funds in the Roth IRA, or are you going to keep it in cash or put it in the money market? And you could do that, and you just like I get how it can kind of stair step up. You do the Roth and then you feel more comfortable, and now you're building up cash in the high yield savings. But all of this is really complex stuff, and doctors don't have time for this. So that's why I say Roth 403B once you have $1,000 saved in cash in your high yield savings account, because now you have a cash buffer that you should continue to try to build up beyond $1,000. But the Roth 403B is through your paycheck, and you don't have to open up a supplementary account. You don't have to set up the auto pays. It's done for you by payroll.
Easier investment options too.
Yeah. Just some target date funds, call it good. They're good enough.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's one of those topics where you kind of say it out loud and you're like, oh, there's probably not too much to dig into there, but there is a lot of layers to this. And, just essentially the feedback you were getting out there on Twitter too, on how many different ways you can look at this. Yeah. I like the idea of having some form of an emergency fund. And I'd even say, you said 1,000. I'd even say some type of auto build as well. You kind of layered that in there before you're really worried about investing, because time is on your side here. You'll have plenty of opportunities to crank away the retirement savings, but having that cash available, especially on how much cash is needed when you're leaving training, and the different stuff before you become an attending, and the interviews and the travel and all of that, you're going to want to have cash on hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So good topic. I love these sort of things. It's good because it seems like, I think like for a lot of attending physicians, like 5, 10, 15 years after this time, it's like the numbers are so much bigger and there's so many more decisions that come down the line. But boy, making some simple mental health supportive decisions while you're in training, invaluable.
Yeah. And I know you brought up learning. Just keep in mind, a lot of these larger hospitals, they'll have 403B meetings and you can meet with the advisors and walk through these things. You don't have to be saving to them to go learn about them. So even if you're not putting money into the 403B or the Roth 403B, but you just want to know like how they work, what do these investment options mean, you can always be learning and going through that process too. So don't think that, there's this special club that you have to be saving to it. Again, keep an eye out for a match, take away that free money. But, I think to Tyler's main question in there, you don't need to make this a priority. And we would actually say probably that emergency fund takes a higher priority at this phase of your career. And again, you still have plenty of time for the retirement stuff. We'll get there. We'll cover that. We'll get a lot of money in there. We promise.
Yes, sir. All right, cool.
Anything to close on? Feel good there?
Yeah. No, I think we covered it, and we'll jump into something else next time.
All right, my friend. As always, a pleasure chatting anything finance with you. I'll catch you on the next one.
Sounds good.
This information is for general purposes only. This information is not intended to be a substitute for specific professional, financial, or tax advice, as individual concerns vary. Please see a financial professional, CPA, and/or an attorney in regards to your own individual situation. Wealth Heals Advisory Services and Financial Planning offered through Vicus Capital Inc., a federally registered investment advisor. Olson Consulting LLC, offering advisory services and financial planning, is a state-registered investment advisor.